Washington State has gone old school with Dick Bennett. Marcus Moore and the Cougars have the best D right now in the Pac-10, holding opponents to 57 points and building for the future from the defensive end. But Lorenzo Romar and the Huskies, well, they like to fill it up. Second in the Pac-10 at 80 per game. Sophomores Brandon Roy and Nate Robinson lead the Dogs' run. It's the Apple Cup of basketball. Huskies and Cougs next on Fox Sports Net. The snow is falling on the Blues, so it's a good afternoon to come on inside, and you can tell by the boos they don't like the Huskies. It's the Apple Cup of basketball, UW and Washington State on Fox Sports Net. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Watson along with former Coug Craig Elo. He's still a legend in this town, by the way. You know, for a lot of people, when you look at the Pac-10 standings, this game doesn't mean a lot outside the Evergreen State, but to these two schools trying to rebuild these programs, it means a lot.
It really does, and first of all, the game tonight, it's a rivalry game. That's very important. Second of all, both teams are trying to establish themselves and get recruits in the state of Washington, so whoever wins this game will have signing rights.
Washington coming off their first conference victory the other night against Oregon State. This team can score about 80 points a game. The guy leading the way, Nate Robinson, has played himself back into the starting lineup. He hit this three to force the game against the Beavers into overtime. UW won it in the extra period, and they finally got something going on.
Nate Robinson is a true point guard. He is a high-energy, high-flying, 5'7" point guard. He uses a spark plug of this team. He'll do a lot for this team tonight.
So you have UW's offense against Washington State's defense. The Cougs best in the Pac-10 defensively. And you know they got Marcus Moore. He's the marquee name. He always will be. But now he's getting some help from guys like Jeff Barham.
And they love Jeff Barham here. The reason why they love him is potential. The guy's only played 2 years of organized basketball, but he's really shown that he's a true athlete. He can run, jump, shoot. They like him a lot here at Washington State.
These two got together last year in Pullman. Barham went off. The Cougars won that game by over 20 points. It was their biggest Pac-10 win in 7 years. In fact, the home team in this series has won the last 7 meetings between these two. It's the Dogs and the Cougs. Cats and Dogs on Fox Sports Net. It's the Apple Cup of basketball, and it's coming up next. Back inside Beasley Coliseum, Friel Court, on campus at Washington State University. It's Wazoo and UW, Washington and Washington State. On Fox Sports Net, Jim Watson along with former Coug Craig Elo. Take a look at the visitors from Seattle. Washington comes in 6-8, 1-5 in conference, the one victory just the other night in overtime at Corvallis. They go with 1 junior and 4 sophomores, so it's a young team, but this is a team that's going to be together for a couple of years, and they're a little bit ahead of schedule. Head coach for Washington is Lorenzo Romar. Second year, 10-17 last year, and they're about 500 this year. Trying to break this team through to that next level, trying to convince this group that they can win. He has won in one lifetime against Washington State. Speaking of the Cougs, a much more experienced team. A lot of veterans on the court, 1 senior and 4 juniors. Of course, Marcus Moore leads the way, but just about 13 points is actually taking the scoring down a little bit this year because Dick Bennett wants to play defense. Dick Bennett, of course, the legendary head coach. Now, he's coached 727 games, but he's never coached against Washington. He's got the Cougs at 8-8. May not sound like much to you. Last year, the school won only 7 games all year long. So Dick Bennett is bringing the Cougs along step by step. Well, it's classic offense versus defense. Second leading offense in the Pac-10 in Washington. Best defense in the conference in Washington State. So we know the winner will be the team that controls the tempo.
They want to play, but every team said that going into the game that they've played, and the score's been 46-50.
All right, Elo, I know it's been a long time since you've been on the bench for Washington State, but against UW, what do you do? These kids are excited. They're going to want to run a little bit. Dick Bennett's got to remind them, play our game.
And that's what he has brought to Washington State is a system, a game plan, and a style. And it's defense first, offense second. And that's how they want to control the game. And they feel like if the scores are in the 50s or in the 40s or even in the 60s, they give themselves a chance to win, and that's all he's asking for them to do.
Well, we've seen Washington State score some points against USC. They scored 76. They won that game in Spokane. Of course, USC is the worst team in the conference defensively. They're giving up like 82 points a game.
Yeah, USC plays that brother-in-law defense where, hey, you score, I'll score. So we were lucky that night that we got to see that game, and WSU did a very good job of shooting the basketball that night, which they don't do very often.
You say the Huskies have the big advantage in the series. In fact, UW's on 10 of the last 4, but Washington State has won the last 3 here in Pullman. Of course, Washington in their traveling purple and gold, and Wazoo in their home whites trimmed in crimson and a little bit of gray. Nate Robinson back in the starting lineup for Washington, and he'll handle the top. If you haven't seen him play, he's the fastest guy on the court. He's also the smallest guy on the court. This is Will Conroy at the top. And Bobby Jones, who's a player inside and out, stepping up and knocking it down. It's 2-0 Dogs.
And ideally, they would like to see Bobby Jones come off of the bench as a sixth man because of the energy he brings into the game, but he's been forced into the starting lineup, and that's the reason why. The guy can absolutely score.
Jeff Barham with the basketball into the front court. We talked about Barham in the opening. People outside of Pullman don't know a lot about Jeff Barham. Played a couple of years of junior college ball and really doesn't have a lot of formal training, so he's still kind of learning the game on the fly.
He is, and they're very excited about him because of his potential, like I said. But you know, he's got to break through. I know he missed the first 8 games because of eligibility issues, but he's got to really get his legs under him and start playing well for him.
Has some impermissible benefits, whatever that means. It was a no-no, and he had to sit down for the first 8. Shammy Gill, and it's 2-2. So opening bucket by UW, and Wazoo counters back. Nate Robinson at the top. It is a lot of fun to watch. Brandon Roy goes in the air and finds Conroy for 3. That won't go, knocked out of bounds. It's Washington State.
Watch Will Conroy tonight. This guy is the best, or has most improved scoring percentage or average in the Pac-10 from the previous year. And I saw him against Gonzaga last year, just line it up for like 34, so he has the scoring capabilities.
Washington State not being too patient that time. That was Marcus Moore stroking the left-handed 3, but he came up short. It's Roy in the front court. He wanted a foul, didn't get it. Washington will try to push it. Washington State will try to slow it down.
And the way they slow it down, Jim, is that they get back first on defense, so you can't get any really transition baskets.
Nate Robinson for 3. He likes to shoot the long ball. Robinson in double figures in every Pac-10 game this year. Before that, in the non-conference games, only 3 times. I think Nate Robinson just got off to kind of a strange start this year. Remember, he was a walk-on last year. Nobody expected him to play basketball. He led the team in scoring.
And you know, sometimes when you sit down and watch for a few games, or even during the game, you feel like then you get to see what's going on.
Barham left underneath. See the call, it's a turnover. Is it a charge?
It might be travel on Marcus Moore.
Obviously the crowd didn't agree with it. Let's see it again. It's Marcus Moore going baseline. A walk
a
on
charge.
Barham or a charge on Moore?
Charge on Moore.
Charge on Moore. Either way, it's Washington basketball. Down low to Jensen. Jensen spins on the block and scores off glass. Mike Jensen, just a sophomore and averaging just 6 points a game, looked pretty good.
That did look pretty good. And don't think we'll see much of that post play in both of these teams. That was probably the only post shot that we'll see all night.
So Washington on a 5-0 run right now. Washington State hasn't been too deliberate at the offensive end. This time, it's Washington with a great defense, extending it about 30 feet out. Here's Barham. The putback by Gill wouldn't go. Barham a 3rd chance. And it looked like Jones had the ball and was standing out of bounds.
Watch Shammy Gill. The coaching staff really likes this guy because he's a real sneaky type of rebounder. He's not going to go in there and push somebody out of position, but he gets his hands on a lot of balls, and they love that about him.
Gill from the elbow gets Jensen in the air, steps inside, needs a bounce. Wouldn't go, wave it off. It's an offensive foul. So the officials call 2 charges early in this game against the Cougs.
And charges can really change the game. If you got a team that likes to take charges, guys that like to drive to the basket like Marcus Moore and like Shammy Gill and Jeff Barham just did will think twice about going because of thinking about getting a charge.
Robinson's already hit 1 from outside. He backs it up. And now it's 10-2.
You can see why he scored in double figures the last 6 games. first 2 shots are threes. That's 6 points already in the first 4 minutes, so he'll put some numbers up.
Everybody talks about his speed, but you see Marcus Moore goes around him. But he has a lot more to his game. Barham against Jones. Cleared him out with one hand, missed with the other. Save to Chris Schlatter. Thomas Kaladi with a fresh shot clock. They put that up, well, 3 times they've shot within 10 seconds. That's not their game.
That's not their game. They usually get down below the 15 mark.
That is their game. Defense. Nice hustle back. Here's Kaladi in the front court. Kaladi's a good 3-point shooter. They'll set the offense. Barham at the top, and he doesn't look comfortable there. He's waiting for somebody to come get it. Marcus Moore is a little late. Back to Kaladi.
Actually, Nate Robinson's doing a really good job of shattering. Don't forget, this guy played cornerback for the UW football team, so he knows how to guard someone.
Marcus Moore asks for a screen from Schlatter, gives it back to Schlatter. Open 3.
That shot was created because Chris set a good screen, and usually if you set a good screen, that means your man will leave you to help and leave you open, and Marcus Moore hitting for a good shot.
Teams have combined a 3 for 5 from outside. Jensen is fouled by Kaladi as he drives the lane. Why is it Washington State plays such good defense? Why have they been able to hold teams to about 57 points in conference?
Oh, they just do a great job of pressuring you and just getting back and finding their man right away.
Of course, Dick Bennett, his stamp on every program he's been at, the Wisconsin schools, Green Bay, and the University of Wisconsin, was all about defense. He won games ugly, and he did it without a lot of stars.
You're exactly right. I meant the Wisconsin Stephen Points and the Wisconsin Green Bays. I meant you couldn't probably name 2 players off those teams, but
Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett. Very good. You got me. But they did. They would just absolutely stop people, and no one wanted to play them.
You know, Lori Brooks, our director, is giving me another. Terry Porter.
Terry Porter. That's Stevens Point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jensen at the line. Short on that effort. Loose ball. The putback by Trey Simmons, who checked in on the buzzer.
Did you check out Nate on that one? He was a high-flying point guard. He was up above the rim on that.
Timeout on the floor. Played just about 5 minutes. And Washington has the lead because of Nate Robinson, not once from outside, but twice. It's 11-5 Dogs. Welcome back to Pullman on Fox Sports Net. Washington and Washington State 11-5. Last year's game we mentioned was a big win for Washington State, their biggest in 7 years in conference. Marcus Moore came off the bench that night, a great game for him, 23 points. Nate Robinson was the counterpunch. He had 15 last year in this game. But Moore and the Cougs had a lot, 98-76. It was a huge victory for those guys, and really that was where things started to build. And then Marcus Moore introduced himself to Dick Bennett when he came to Pullman. And it's baby steps, and if you're outside of Pullman, you don't notice it, Craig, but 8-8 is pretty good for this club right now.
It is very good, and you know, that was a great picture of Dick Bennett and Marcus Moore right there, because a lot of people, Marcus put his name in the hat to be drafted, and he came back, said, well, he wouldn't fit into this system, but that shows you the maturity of Marcus Moore.
And he's taking his scoring down more, only averaging about 13 points a game. If he wanted, he could average 25 points a game, but not in Dick Bennett's system.
Not in that system, and he sacrificed a lot for this team, and you know, I'll take wins over your points anytime.
That's Kaladi pulling up with 4 seconds on the shot clock.
That's more of a Bennett style right there. Run that clock down and get a good look at like Thomas Kaladi did.
Keem Rollins is in for Washington on the timeout. Washington has only 3 of their starters on the court right now. Bodies on the floor. Wazoo comes up with it, Randy Green. Cougs showing a little hustle there.
You know, the one thing as I coach myself in high school is I try to get my players to get on the floor like that.
Barham misses the dunk inside, would have been big. Trey Simmons pulls up. And how quick is that in transition?
That's a transition basket right there. He brought the ball down himself, took the shot from the wing. And another thing in Washington State's system, our Coach Bennett's system, is he doesn't like a lot of dribbling. He likes guys to move the basketball by passing it and then making L cuts in any way you can to get open.
Well, old guys like us and purists, they love to watch a Dick Bennett team.
Oh, definitely.
Just like you love to watch a Princeton because it's the way we grew up playing the game. Kicked out of bounds by Kaladi, and then Kaladi turns and pushes Will Conroy, and the official's going to separate him right away.
Pretty good happened right in front of us, and Thomas was a little upset because he couldn't get to that basketball and felt like Will Conroy was holding, so he gave him a little shove. It's good to see that in Thomas Kaladi, though, because the one thing they noticed about him is he's not soft, but he's soft-spoken, and they'd like to see a little fire in the fight in him.
Kaladi, a junior from Walla Walla, and a great three-point shooter, one of the best in the conference. Curtis Allen is the only senior on the Washington roster. He'll be at the top.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I've done a few other games, and Oregon State doesn't have a senior starter. Arizona doesn't have a senior starter. It's amazing how young the Pac-10 is.
Lorenzo Romar's done a good job keeping kids in Seattle, keeping those Seattle kids home. A lot of Garfield High School kids. In fact, some of the Washington State fans in warm-ups were yelling Garfield University when Washington came on the floor because of all the Garfield High kids. Knocked out of bounds, Washington will keep it. Simmons and Anthony Grant. Anthony Grant's a Seattle kid, and he came to Pullman. Trey Simmons is a Seattle kid, and he stayed home. I mean, this one really has the Northwest flavor because of all the local kids. Yeah, these guys didn't become Northwest guys when they showed up in college. They were raised in the Northwest. Curtis Allen against Kaladi. Roy going to dump it down to Rollins. Rollins put it on the floor and they collapsed, and he still manages to get the floating.
Wasn't real sure he was going to take that shot when he got into the lane, but kind of got in there and then found out that little pump fake got him open and he had a clear shot.
15-7 Washington. They've led the entire way. We were tied at 2.
And they got to be pretty happy about leading because the last 4 or 5 games they've been double-digit deficits. Had to dig themselves out of the hole in order to get back in the game.
There's your guy, Jeff Barham. Barham looking pretty good.
He's pretty much an all-around player. He loves to rebound. He loves to play defense. And obviously he's loving to score.
And there's Barham at the other end. So he scores and then he boards. And now he brings the ball into the front court. Will he pull up?
If he pulled up then, he might be sitting down.
Right next to Coach Bennett. Yeah,
Right.
I was thinking the same thing. Slider setting that high pick again. Slider against Jensen, and Poke checks at him. And here's that patience. Shot clock's at 10, but this is the way the Cougs like to play it. Kaladi, the fade. That was well short.
You know, anytime you fade away from the basket at 20 feet, I'd say most of the time your shot's going to be short. Unless you're Michael Jordan. He used to fade away on me quite a bit there. Yeah, so.
See, I wasn't going to bring it up. You did it. I left you alone. Simmons from the top, and that rolls in. That's a 3. Now they've doubled him up, 18-9. And Dick Bennett says that's not the way we play defense on the Blues. He wants a timeout to talk about it. And you look at Washington play right now, and you wonder how this team's 1-5 because they look great at both ends of the building.
You know, early preseason picks, they were picked up in there, top 6, top 5 tier, and thought that they'd really be a factor in the Pac-10 and probably get some postseason play, but they really struggled in the first 5 or 6 games.
Remember that these two schools have different styles. Lorenzo Romar and the Dogs, they like to push it. They like up-tempo. Washington State wants to slow things down and frustrate, but everybody likes to dive on the ball. And you see Washington State with a transition right here, but still backing it out, setting things up. And the Huskies, well, they hurry to the other end, and Simmons has a green light. What style would you rather play in?
I think I would rather play in a Dick Bennett style because of the purist in me, but you know, it's awfully fun to get out and run and have fun. And Dick Bennett style will not take that away from him, but he just wouldn't prefer it.
You see that Washington hasn't had a lot of success on the road. They lost here in Pullman last year, and 5 of their first 7 conference games this year have been on the road. They're 1-5 coming into this game. The victory last week at Oregon State. And they had to go overtime, and they had to hit a 3 to get into the extra period.
See, in the past, Marcus Moore would have done a lot of one-on-one right here to get a shot up.
Marcus Moore has not scored in this game. As Kaladi against a double team, got it off for the shot. Simmons pulls it off the rim. Simmons rushes it into the front court. Brandon Roy looks inside to Rollins, instead keeps it himself, now kicks to Curtis Allen. And Simmons off a pick. And Simmons got a hot hand.
He really does, and that was a great play right there where he had an opportunity to curl, but he faked the curl off to the screen, made some space, got the defender going back on his heels, and was able to get the shot off.
Simmons has 7. He only averages 9 a game, and he did not start today. He started most of the season for Washington. Kaladi. Kaladi's been the first option for Washington State.
And again, the Bennett system is not to take, pass up shots, but he wants them to take great shots. And getting great shots, that might mean making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passes before you get that great look.
The throw inside is a bad pass. Justin Bellegarde was there for Washington State. Here's Moore. Still not in the book. Schlatter over the back. Offensive foul on the Cougs.
Well, as a coach, you never fault a guy for going after an offensive board, and I'm sure Chris Slaughter will be definitely congratulated over there for his hustle on that play.
It's hard enough to get guys to hit the boards, so Dick Bennett's not going to blame Chris Slaughter for that. 9:06 to play in the first half. UW 20-12. They led the entire way. Everybody keeps talking about Nate Robinson's big 3 the other night against Oregon State. That guy, Trey Simmons, also hit one with 5 seconds left to bring UW within striking distance, and he's carried that momentum right into this game.
Done a really good job. He's picked up a rebound right there and brought the ball down. There's a kick out to him. Top of the key. Now on the other side, that was the curl I was talking about. He's got a good-looking shot. He's got a good release and a quick release.
And he's one of those Garfield High guys from Seattle, played with Brandon Roy, Will Conroy, Anthony Washington. Also played with Roy Del Smiley from USC and Isaiah Standback, who plays on the UW football team. Must have been a pretty good group, huh, in high school?
Unbelievable.
5 D1 athletes. 9 minutes exactly in the first half. Curtis Allen remains at the top for the Huskies. And now UW looks a little out of sync offensively as Washington State has extended that man defense in a hold away from the ball. Mark Reichling, our lead referee, with a call. It's on Jeff Aaron. That's his first. And that's okay. If you're Dick Bennett and Jeff Aaron gets his first foul under 9 minutes to go in the half, you're happy.
You got to be very happy because him on the floor gives you an athlete out there, and him off the floor takes away from you.
Brandon Roy on the swing. Curtis Allen wouldn't go. Chris Schlatter with the rebound. Aaron into the front court.
I guess you'd call that a point forward, bringing up the ball like that. He's brought up like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, Barron's 6'6", and he's bringing the ball up court. Moore missed in the lane. Marcus Moore still yet to score.
He can also score in a flurry, so don't count him out. I mean, he's a scorer, and he's got that mentality.
Yeah, we saw him do it against Gonzaga. I don't think he scored in the first 10 minutes of that game and came on late. Here's Schlatter alone. Goes around his man and fouled on the ground. Before the drive.
It's been a pretty clean game. If you look up at the board, Washington State only has 5 team fouls. Washington only has 2.
Chris Schlatter had a good game against Gonzaga. That's the last time I saw these guys play. 15.6 boards. He also had double digits against UCLA, so he can score, but he's more of a role guy.
He is, and he's the guy in the Bennett offense that stands on the top, and he has a lot of looks at shots up there, but he just won't take them because of the system.
Guess who's in the book?
He said that one's for his mother down in Los Angeles watching the game.
And a big grin, too. The crowd knows about Wazoo's defense as well. They encourage their guys. Jones, the turnaround, faces the basket from 15, missed. Brandon Roy, the putback. And Wazoo should have had that. They battled themselves.
They did. They actually took it out of their own hands.
Would have had the ball and just down 5. That's a 7-point game. They lost a little momentum there. Kaladi has looked to shoot every time he's gotten it. Here's Verum going hard to the rack. Just missed it. Hit it on the bottom of the rim.
Washington State's got to be pretty happy at this point in the game, too, to just be down 7. I mean, it feels like the way Washington scored early and built up a double-digit lead that they would just run away with this.
A turnover, defensive pressure. Washington shooting 60% from the field right now, and Wazoo 35%, yet it's only a 7-point game. I got to agree with you. Lorenzo Romo's got to be frustrated. His team's only up 7 points. Marcus Moore went about 13 minutes without a bucket. Finally got a clear look from deep and knocked down the 3 for Mama back in L.A. Well, we told you it was snowing on the Palouse, and the kids are enjoying it. Oh, taking a fall on the sled. It's good times. It's about 1.5 feet out there of fresh stuff, and you had to walk through all the slush just to get inside Beasley Coliseum, but they still have drawn a pretty nice crowd. It is 28 degrees on the Palouse. Well, next Saturday, Pac-10 basketball continues with a full day of conference action. 14th ranked Arizona is right here inside Beasley to face the Cougs. And then Oregon hosts 2nd ranked Stanford. After that, Huskies host the Sun Devils in Seattle at Bank of America Arena. It all starts next Saturday at 1 o'clock, and it's only on Fox Sports Net. Marcus Moore with that last 3-pointer. That was number 128 career, so he is now number 7 all-time at Washington State. Tied Ellison McNair. Look at that, 1,275 career points. Think they'll miss him when he finally leaves?
Oh, you don't know how much they'll miss him. He'll be on the paper saying, what did he do? He did all this, and then he's gone. Oh, then you know how much you miss him.
Yeah, go back and look at all the all-time marks. Inside. Looks like Justin Belgard will go to the free throw line.
And even speaking of Marcus, came over here before the game, and asked me, I'm kind of struggling what I need to do to get off. And I told him, well, you got to go to the basket and drive in there and get on the foul line, get you some easy baskets that way and easy free throws. And he did just the opposite. He went out and hit a 3-pointer, which is most of his game or part of his game.
But you did tell him, you said, I want 4 free throws out of you in the first 7 minutes. That means you're taking the ball to the basket. And here we are deep into the first half, 14 minutes, and he hasn't shot a free throw yet.
He hasn't, so I'm going to have to get on him about that.
Conroy now at the top for Washington. Looks to force that ball inside. It's kicked by Thomas Kaladi. Be on the side for Washington and a fresh clock. Back into the ball game. Mike Jensen, the 6'8" sophomore who started the game.
I really like what Washington's doing on the offensive sets. I think, with a 35-second clock, obviously you got to draw up sets that take shots in that 35 seconds, but they're looking to shoot out of the first or second option, and that makes them a hard team to guard.
Saw that graphic with Washington shooting 60%. You just looked at that, you'd think they must be up by 10 or 15 points, but Wazoo hanging tough. Washington State's only shooting 35%. So they're having to earn everything they get at the offensive end. Shot clock is inside of 10. Nate Robinson back in the game. Lost the handle, but plenty of time. Here comes a 3 again. He ends up on his back, and he wanted a foul, and we've seen him do that before. Well, he's got 3 threes.
That was an amazing shot. That was a great basketball shot right there, because Thomas Kaladi is the best defender on the Washington State team.
Kaladi comes right back, and he gave Nate Robinson a little look. Robinson ended up on the floor at his feet. He turned around and stared at him.
Got a little personal battle going on.
Looks like a rec league guy shooting threes that quick. Robinson back against Kaladi, loses him, then goes to the rack. Offensive foul. And Nate Robinson is still down.
He's a tough character, though. He's getting up. I saw him last year in this game actually draft it like that. He actually goes to the basket just like that and fell on his head. This year, the same thing. He goes hard to the back. Oh, he just knocked for him.
Oh, he got stepped on a couple of times.
And
that's why I never drove when I played, because it gets ugly under there for little guys like us. Nate Robinson, he's a tough guy, and you and I were talking about it before the game. His dad is Jock Robinson, of course, and great Washington running back and MVP of the Rose Bowl and the Orange Bowl in his time. Need a bounce, need a tip, didn't get it. And Jones aboard for UW. And of course, Nate played football when he first came to UW, as you mentioned. Jensen drives, and he's fouled by Belgard.
One of the toughest plays for an official to call an uncharging call right underneath the basket like that. I agree with this call. I don't think Justin Belmar had his feet set at all. The previous play to that, where Jeff Varum took up house in there and Nate drove in and flattened him. You know, that was a good call also. Those officials, they don't miss very much. They get most of them right most of the time.
Is that how you were when you played? You thought the officials were great?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I didn't think
I never
so.
fouled anybody.
Mike Jensen at the line. Mike Jensen is famous. When he came out of high school, everybody wanted to know about dunking over Tyson Chandler. He did it at the Nike Hoop Fest. He was legendary for that. Tyson Chandler, by the way, went to Dominguez High School. That's the same school that produced Marcus Moore for Washington State.
You're exactly right.
Produced a lot of guys. Tayshaun Prince, Kenny Bruner went to Fresno State. Varum with a spin and then inside, offensive foul.
Anytime you take the ball to the basket on a dead run like that and you spin, you never know who's behind you. So coaches really try to get you to stay away from that. And he spun right into Nate Robinson, who was snuck over there and got his feet set. Right here's the spin. Well, we missed the spin, but he went straight in on a dead run.
Nate Robinson's been knocked to the floor 4 times already and stepped on twice, and yet he's still in there, and he hasn't missed a shot yet. All threes. He's 3 for 3 from outside the arc. And he's wincing when he doesn't have the ball. And he doesn't want Romar to see it. Funny how when you get the ball, it doesn't hurt anymore.
No,
huh?
it doesn't. All that goes away. Oh, near steal.
Conroy pulls up with numbers. Now they had a 5-on-4, and he just stepped in. Now Washington State has to be careful right now because they're getting drawn into a UW style of game. Shooting quickly in the shot clock. It's been Moore and Colati and Varum at the offensive end. This is Varum. Triple threat, tries to go around Jones. Jones cuts him off baseline.
You know, the one thing Washington State could do better is set better screens. In this offense, they do a lot of screening.
There's a 3 for Colati. Now, Colati's got 11 points. He's the first guy in the game in the double figures, and he is keeping Washington State alive right now.
I did a game with Oregon State against Washington State last week where he was 0 for 9, and he was just totally dejected. And one of the first things Dick Bennett said to him was, hey, relax, you're going to make shots.
Well, every shooter goes through those slumps, and you got to shoot your way. You can't wait your way out of a shooting slump. You have to shoot it.
Shoot yourself out of the shooting slump.
Just like Conroy right there. Will Conroy buries the bomb. And it's 31-21.
For a team that shoots on the season 43% from the field,
They're 5 of 6 right now.
it is amazing what they've done so far.
Both teams are 5 of 6 from outside. That's unbelievable. Oh, Varum with a sweet move inside, but he could not finish. Chance for Washington to get their biggest lead, and they do. Conroy just exploded.
Wonderful hesitation. That hesitation where you just stop and pull up, freezes the defensive man, and then the offensive man has the advantage by going to the basket.
Conroy's got 7. There's Varum again. That spin move has been awesome for him, but he just cannot get anything to finish. He's hit the rim a couple of times going up with the ball, missed a dunk.
He just threw his hands up right there just saying, what do I have to do to get the ball to go into the basket? Because he's gotten to the basket, it just hasn't gone in for him.
Jeff Varum, long way to get here. Started in Nigeria, that's where he was raised. Came to the United States, played a couple of JC seasons in Indiana. And we talked about his great game against USC. Maybe his breakout game, it showed everybody why they brought him here, because the kid's a player, but as you mentioned, not a lot of formal training, still kind of learning.
And you know, that's was definitely evident in the 2 shots that he missed. I mean, just he was right to the basket and just didn't know how to finish it. The best way to finish those is just to stuff it right down and get a big slam, but he's got to learn that, and someone has to teach him that.
He's got that spin move down. Misses the free throw. Conroy with a rebound. 2 minutes and change to play in the first, and he stepped out of bounds in a walk. Either way, it's a turnover. Now Dick Bennett a little bit disgusted. but not necessarily with his defense, but the fact that Washington is shooting 64% from the field, making it 68% from the field now, and they're shooting 83% from three. And they love their Cougs in Pullman, but so far Washington has just been on fire. 83% from outside the arc there, 5 of 6, and they're shooting 68% from the field. Because of that, they have this huge lead, 33-21. What's Dick Bennett saying inside the huddle?
Well, he's saying we got to contest all the shots because that's the second thing in his defensive philosophy. First one obviously being get back. Second one is contesting the shots. They got to do a much better job of getting closer to the guys shooting and not give them a free look.
You saw the graphic on Washington, undefeated when out shooting their opponents, and that would make sense, right? If you shoot better than your opponent, you should score more points and thus win the basketball game, but it's not always the case.
It's not always the case, but more than likely on the good side of it is when you do that, you usually win the basketball game.
Washington State has had, at times, trouble scoring. 29 points total against Fresno State earlier this year against Southern Utah. They had 36 in that game. But then they turn around against a team like USC and put 76 on the board. So it's still a team in transition. It's a team kind of identifying itself and finding out what it can do.
And that'll probably happen all year. They'll be inconsistent with their scoring. They just don't want it to happen in this game against Washington, which is a rivalry game. You just want to put the boots to the other team.
Yeah, when you talk to Dick Bennett about this, the struggles of his team, he says that's kind of who we are right now. Shot is missed, one and done for Washington State. UW doing a good job on the defensive boards right now.
Seeing something that's very uncommon for a Dick Bennett team, a 1-3-1 zone.
Trying to change things up a little bit here.
Well, the shooting is obviously just spectacular for Washington, so they're going to put the wings out a little bit further in order to try to stop that.
Yeah, Washington has forced them into this 1-3-1. I talked to Tony Bennett, Dick's assistant and son, about this. I said, will you play zone? He said, yeah, case by case if need be. And they need to right now with Washington shooting so well from outside. Over the back on Mike Jensen on a good box out. Here's Tony Bennett. Great three-point shooter, best in NCAA history.
That means he took great shots. He did not take bad shots.
Well, when you watch his form in those old game tapes, the guy was just pure. Just a summer camp jumper. He was perfect. There's Marcus Moore trying to get it going. Needs a bounce, didn't get it. Loose ball taken away and a late whistle. But probably the correct one. Trey Simmons got hit in the face and gave up the ball.
Yeah, those usually just don't pop out of there like that once you have control of them. And the official, hey, I got to credit him. He blew the whistle and made the call.
So Trey Simmons going to go to the other end. Simmons was on fire for a while. He was carrying this team. He had 7 quick points, and he's probably gone 5 or 6 minutes now without a bucket.
And I love Nate Robinson and the way he plays as a player, but as a point guard, you want to know which guys are hot and distribute the ball to them and help them get into the game. And Nate's probably got to do a better job of that. He only averages 4.6 assists. That could be up in the 7s easily.
Simmons makes them both. He's reached his game average before the half at 9 points. Isaiah Simmons is in for Washington State, number 25, playing down low. And Simmons popping out. He's got the ball, goes right down the lane and gives it up to Slaughter.
I don't think that was meant to happen, but it happened good for Washington State because Slaughter was in the right place and wound up with a dunk.
Not going to give him an assist on that?
Okay. I'll give it to him. But Isaiah Simmons is on the floor because the coach loves the way he goes to the basket. And he had not played before in the Pac-10 at all. And now he's driving to the basket and getting an assist on this play by having Slaughter slam dunk it for him.
So 24.7 seconds to play in the half. Lorenzo Romar called for a quick timeout. He just wants to set his offense. The shot clock is off, so maybe Romar wanted to talk to his guys and say, let's hold for one and decide who it is that's going to get that look. Now you got some great players on the court right now. A lot of different options. Simmons has had a great half. Nate Robinson could hit a 3 if you have him in the game, but he's not in the game right now. Conroy's been hot. A lot of options for Lorenzo Romar.
And I'm sure he said this in the huddle also. I'm sure Coach Romar said, look, we got a 12-point lead. We can make it 15 or 14, but we're going to make sure we get the last shot and go up 12 at least at halftime. Sometimes that's hard for a player to understand because you might get a look that you feel comfortable taking.
Brandon Roy hits it. Conroy drew the defense. Kaladi with the 3 off of 1 foot, the wrong foot. And so a good end for Washington. That's exactly what Romar wanted. He got a good look. He got the last basket. And he's got a 14-point advantage over Thomas Kaladi and the Cougs. A lot of work. Maybe they go back to that defense. That's what got him here. Dick Bennett rubbing his head on the way into the locker room. Dick Bennett's always rubbing his head. 37-23, the Huskies over the Cougars on Fox Sports Net. We're at the break. Beasley Coliseum on campus at Washington State University. Jim Watson along with Craig Elo. We'll take a look at some of the tape from the first half. We told you that Washington shot lights out, 67%. Now, nobody was better than that guy, Nate Robinson, who hit 3 3-pointers. Only shots he took the entire half. He had 9 points. So did this guy, Trey Simmons, who came on. He had 7, all in a bunch in about a 3-minute span. And then he kind of faded towards the end of the half. But nice balance again for Washington. They do this a lot. 9 and 9 for Robinson and Simmons, and Conroy looking good with 7.
You're right. Great balance on the floor. All those shots were great shots where they had squared up. There was no one really contesting them. And I said in Bennett's system on defenses, they contest the shot.
Washington State shot just 35% from the floor. Thomas Kaladi had a good half. He leads everybody with 11 points. He kept them alive and kept them in the game for a while. Marcus Moore has struggled. That's the only shot he made the entire first half. He had 22 points against UW last year. He has only 3. He's 1 for 7 from the field.
I don't know what the problem is with Marcus, but all of his shots have been short. And he is a great off-balance shooter where he can take a step in and step back, but they're all coming up short. He's just got to squeeze it and let it go. He can't just, it's the trigger finger. You just got to squeeze it and let it go. Don't worry about where it's going. Make sure it gets there.
Last game I did for Washington State against Gonzaga, Marcus Moore struggled in the first half of that game too. I'm beginning to think it's me.
It could be you. You're a bad omen for Marcus Moore.
But he came on in the second half of that game. Maybe he'll do it again. Make things a little bit more interesting. Washington cruising through the first half, 14-point advantage. We'll come back, one more break, and then we'll look at the numbers from the first 20 minutes, and we'll play basketball again. 14-point advantage for the Huskies over the Cougars at halftime. Here's a reminder for you coming up tonight at 10 o'clock on the Northwest Sports Report. Post-game analysis from today's doubleheader. See who's sharing the spotlight in Mariners Fan Fest happening this weekend at Safeco Field. I think some of my colleagues are down there. Plus Sonics and Blazers highlights. All that and more tonight at 10 o'clock on your source for sports. It's the Northwest Sports Report, and it's only on Fox Sports Net. Please send money. It doesn't cost that much to go to state, does it?
No. It doesn't. We're a very cheap school. Yes.
Now, we've been talking about these numbers, and you see the yellow arrow on the left side of your screen. It reflects a huge gap, big discrepancy in field goal percentage.
There's a saying that things that don't last longer are dogs that chase cars and guys that can't shoot shots. That's the way it's going right now for Washington State. It's just like they're chasing a car and they can't get it, and it's just not falling for them. But if they want to get back into this, the one thing that I have an opinion on is Dick Bennett kept them in the locker room for a long time at halftime, probably chewing on them a little bit. Might be well-deserved, but they got to start having fun out there. Nobody's grinning. Nobody's really getting excited about making plays.
See, that important number was 40%. Washington State, when they shoot 40% from the field, they're 8-1. They shot 35% in the first half. Marcus Moore was 1 for 7. Jeff Aram was 1 for 6. Those two guys have to produce in the second half. They're going to get back in this thing. Here's Moore.
And Chris Slaughter actually took Marcus's move away from him by coming in to his pattern.
That's a great rebound by Schlatter to keep it alive. Shammy Gill had it knocked away. Ball's on the floor. One of the Huskies was on the floor, and I was going to try to check who it was. I just guessed it. It was Nate Robinson, and it is. There's number 2 being picked off the deck again. Now, granted, he has the shortest distance to travel when the ball's on the floor, but he's the first guy down every time.
And there's not a better word to say. I mean, that's energy. That's just all-out hustle, going after loose balls like that. And it can change the course of the game.
I think Keith Gilbertson would like to see that guy returning punts and kickoffs. How much fun would he be?
Except in the Apple Cup.
Yeah. I understand. Your loyalty is still here in Pullman. I get it.
Yes.
Here's Roy, 17-foot pull-up. Wouldn't go. Kaladi with the long carom. He looks ahead to Marcus Moore. Give it up to Verum.
There you go.
And he finally got a bounce.
I did not think that ball was going to go in. I thought he was going to take off on a high-flying dunk with a one-handed up there, and I think Marcus gave him the ball up a little bit too quick to him right there.
You know, when I talked to Tony Bennett before the game, I asked him about Barham, and he said, you know, he's a great player, but he still has to think rather than rely on instincts because he hasn't played the game his entire life.
And that's probably why he's missed shots down low.
Schlatter with another big board for the Cougs.
Be aggressive. Don't hesitate. That's the one thing that'll get you back in the games.
There's your guy, Isaiah Simmons from Tacoma. He's a walk-on, and he drains that one, and all of a sudden, look, this place has changed, hasn't it? It's gotten loud, they've gotten on their feet, and the Cougs have gotten back in the game. Now, Washington hasn't scored so far in the second half. That's the Wazoo defense, but you said Dick Bennett was chewing on him. Look, he's got one flap out. He's got the chalkboard working.
He's drawing up plays, and whatever he said at halftime obviously fired these guys up. But, you know, basketball's got to be fun. If you're not having fun out there and you're not doing things that creates that kind of fun for you, then it's hard to play.
You know what I like about Dick Bennett? You know, he's not going to come here and turn this into a 25-win program the first year, but what he's done is he's taught these guys not to settle for less. He's expecting, he's demanding more out of these guys every night.
He's raised the bar, and that's what needed to be done here is raise the bar, expect these guys to win. Hey, they've been losing for about 4 years now, and it's hard to get them out of that. It just wears on you.
Yeah, mediocrity is no longer accepted at Washington State, not in basketball, that's for sure. Now the two top teams in the WCC take to the court next Saturday. Gonzaga's Ronan Turiaf again, the third 1,000-point scorer on the squad this season. Can the Broncos defense stop the Zags' dominant shooter? Tune in next Saturday at 7:30 and find out. It's only on Fox Sports Net. Gonzaga and Santa Clara. Well, we've seen the Zags a couple of times. You've been to more practices than anybody else outside of the program. That's a top 10 team if you ask me. And I've seen them. I saw them against Maryland. I saw them against Missouri.
I tell you, they are a top 10 team. And, you know, you might get on me because I am a Washington State grad, but I'm a GU fan. I mean, they play basketball just like I like to play the game. And so it's an enjoyment for me to go watch them and see them do that. But they're top 10. I saw Arizona on Thursday night. They're very athletic, and they run great transition. But
you saw Gonzaga last night.
I saw GU against Portland. You know, and again, all these schools in the West Coast Conference, man, they're going to shoot because they're playing fully on adrenaline against Gonzaga. Because, hey, we get a chance to knock off one of the best teams in the nation. You know, but it just Gonzaga wears them down and then takes over and does it. But they are, I agree with you. I think they're in the top 10.
It's funny how things have turned around in the Northwest. You know, it used to be the 4 Pac-10 schools. And now everybody's chasing Gonzaga. They're not the little Jesuit school from Spokane anymore. Now they're a national power.
And we talked about signing recruits from Washington. Gonzaga has a few Washington boys on their team.
Washington State has not allowed Washington to score here in the second half. That's the way they have to get back into this. Nate Robinson hasn't missed a 3. He's working for one right now. Gaps the defense, hangs. Wanted the whistle, didn't get it.
Sometimes you just got to go ahead and shoot the ball, Nate, and not worry about drawing the foul. He was too concerned with drawing the foul and instead of making the shot.
A big trip here for Washington State. Put the ball in the hands of Moore once. He couldn't get a shot. Simmons in the lane, looking for help. Back to Kaladi. They will take their time. 12 seconds on the shot clock. No hurry. Kaladi working and hanging to Moore. Now he knows he's got to do something. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Bang!
You know, you said the key word. You know he's got to do something now with the shot clock down. He got a terminating shot. You know, sometimes that's his best shot.
6-point game. Shot clock at 10.
I was just going to say, this is about as exciting as the students have been in basketball for a long time.
Oh, Robinson just took it away from Moore and hits a 3. And that is just a crusher. The first basket of the second half for UW, and it came out of the hands of Marcus Moore. He had the board.
Big shot. I mean, that was a lot of pressure on that shot right there, too. I mean, he just took that ball away and looked at the basket and put it up.
Nate Robinson is 4 for 4 from 3. Kaladi goes around Robinson, stripped away by Jones, and Bobby Jones gets whistled for the reach.
Boy, Bobby Jones was in the great place right there. Thomas Pilotti, I don't know how he didn't see him. He was standing right there, and I thought Jones kind of hit that ball pretty cleanly there.
Jensen goes out of the game for UW. And back in is Hakeem Rollins, the junior, the 6'7" junior. More size for UW down low.
Let's see in this set if they set good screens to get guys open. Nate Robinson just came off of an easy pick right there. No one really headhunting anyone.
Pilates slashing through the lane, comes and gets it.
There was a half decent one that got Marcus open.
Moore couldn't get there. And a fade on that three-pointer. Robinson.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what he's got to do more of. He's at 4 or 5 assists a game, but he could really jump that up by looking for his teammates a lot more.
He spotted the open guy. Conroy just trailing the whole play, was left alone. Conroy's got 10. Back comes Kalani. That's short. That's not Washington State's game. I don't think they can just stand out there and try to match three-pointers. Robinson's going to get called for the carry. He does get a little loose with the basketball from time to time. Creative, some guys would say. And Nate's going to talk to the official himself. Here's Marcus Moore with the shot clock winding down. There's 5 seconds left, and he hits that three. But then back at the other end, after the takeaway, Nate Robinson with the answer. That was a 14-point advantage at halftime, and now it's a 12-point advantage. Washington getting a big three from Nate Robinson. You know, they've changed their lineup, Washington has, many times this year, and today he shuffled 8, 9, 10 guys through the lineup. Your best guess, what's Romar trying to do with them?
Well, I talked to Russ Shaney, who's assistant coach, the big fella right there walking by, and he said they would go 9 or 10 deep, but they really didn't have a post player that they really were comfortable having out on the floor, so that's why they probably play a smaller lineup.
Of course, Lorenzo Romar, he played at UW. He's a point guard. You never played against him, though, right? Was he gone before?
I caught him when he was a Golden State Warrior, yes. And he had that left-handed shot that just kind of just rained out of the sky. And he was a good player, though. He was a very good player.
Lorenzo played 5 years in the NBA, Golden State, Milwaukee, and Detroit.
And I'm surprised a lot of teams don't run more zone against Washington State because they're really not an outstanding shooting team, but they're capable of making them. But I would say, hey, beat me from the outside.
Yeah, Marcus Moore isn't doing that right now. He's 2 for 11 from the field. It's a miserable afternoon for him so far. If he starts knocking those three down, well, then you'd expect UW to come back into a man. But yeah, they're challenging him now. They know Washington State's not shooting the ball well.
And it's a great change of pace. I mean, you got guys that or come out in the second half and really explode for about 8 quick points and then knock the lead down to 6. So you change up the momentum a little bit, slow him down a little bit more, maybe draw him into a little lull, where, when he moves the ball against the zone, you're just kind of sitting there and standing and getting lethargic, and then your shot goes up and it's flat.
Curtis Allen comes back in for Washington. You saw a quick shot of Marcus Moore before that first free throw, and he was still clapping and talking, and he was still into this game mentally, and that's the maturity level that people are talking about with this guy this year, that he's the same kind of player, but he's a different kind of person.
And even with a 13-point lead, they just feel like they can have a chance to come back, and they've never had that hope before in the last 4 or 5 years.
Anthony Graham is back in for Washington State. Marcus Moore out just for a quick blow, and I would expect he'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. Simmons.
There's Shammy Gill sneaking in there. I'll tell you, he doesn't do a great job of just getting on the boards other than being in the right place.
Shammy Gill's got 4, and Washington comes right back and answers. Boy. So every time Washington State starts to creep back in, they've got as close as 6 in the second half. Washington seems to have an answer. Simmons now at the top for Washington State. He's moving the ball quicker. See, nice look right there.
There was a gamble, and usually when you gamble and you don't get the gamble, it costs you, and that cost Bobby Jones right there with a slam dunk by Jeff Barham.
Barham finished that one, didn't he?
He finished that one. That's what you got to do every time you get near the basket, Jeff.
Starting to bring the crowd back into it a little bit, and every time they get this close, the bench starts to come alive, and you can feel it building again. And it's funny because Washington's the team that's famous for comebacks, not Washington State. Cut him off baseline. Curtis Allen for 3. Oh, and that's big. There's another answer. Now that's the senior. He took it down tight for this game, didn't he?
That was a very patient offensive possession for Washington right there, and then they got a big shot from a guy that was not normally known for his outside shooting like that.
Barham again inside. Rollins cut him off, then Rollins blocked it, and Rollins is going to get called for the foul on the arm.
I tell you, if this guy ever finds a way to score, he will be unbelievable because he's got a quick little step. Right there's the game. Oh, it wasn't even a gamble. He just slipped. Barham got a big dunk there, but quick moves to the basket. Really quick.
It was a great seal.
Great seal.
Sealed him out, presented a target.
Yep.
And then you got to give Simmons credit for recognizing. A lot of point guards, they don't look at that. They look at the wings, they look at the high post, and they forget about that guy down the low block. You can thread one through. Dangerous pass, though.
It is a dangerous pass.
Here's Marcus Moore back in the game as expected. He was only out for about a $1.45 at game time. And Barham at the line.
Now we got a bigger lineup in there for Washington. Anthony Washington in there.
Yeah, they've gone size here. Size against size. Schlatter deflected that one. Schlatter's played a good second half. Other end, Randy Green. Knocked away by Curtis Allen. Wazoo ball. 13:05 to play and a 13-point advantage. So they've only whittled away one. Romar has been able to come up with the right adjustments each time. Marcus Moore put his head down, and he might have gotten bailed out there a little bit. He was surrounded, didn't have much to do with it, and a block on Washington.
It's funny you said he put his head down. He did put his head down and just kind of knifed right through those two guys down there. And I agree with you. He was lucky he didn't get a charge called on him.
He goes right back to the same spot and scores. That's why he went back there. And we've seen him do this before. And he didn't have a good first half. Now he's got 8 points. You said he was streaky. I would bet next time down Washington State's going to get the ball in his hands.
Somehow they're going to find it.
Another answer. Not that time. And 3 Cougs had it. And they hold on to it that time. Here they come. See if they go to number 1. He's got the ball.
Good screens for him. There he is.
He missed it, and he looks back at the official. He wanted a whistle. Simmons, 18-foot pull-up. That doesn't go. Roy beats everybody to the ball, and Roy gives it up to Rollins.
Wasn't bad defense. It was just great offense. Penetrate, draw the defense in there. Then you got a guy like Rollins that can throw it down inside the lane also.
I'm telling you, you watch this Washington team tonight, and you wonder how they're 1-5 in conference. They got a lot of guys, a lot of great athletes, but they're young. Here's Green. Backs it up. Short from 3. Back out to Green. Moore goes around Roy. Hangs in the air around 3 different guys. Simmons with a rebound. Tough shot. Simmons throws it up. He cradled the ball on his wrist, and the crowd wanted a carry.
Got himself a little bit out of control, but bailed himself out by cradling it. Actually, by cradling it, he took it away from Marcus Moore when he slapped at it.
Fouls on Schlatter. It's the first point of the second half for Simmons, who's now into double figures with 10.
And you're right, he got those 7 quick points, and then he kind of disappeared. Don't know why, but he's got a good shot and good step to the basket, so he should be more offensive minded.
How about that balance? 10 points, 9 rebounds. That's a pretty good afternoon. We're not done yet. Schlatter, another rebound. I love to watch Chris Schlatter rebound. Good athlete.
And he's not, but 6'8", maybe 6'7", and he's asked to play kind of out of position.
Right now he's at the top. See, he swings that ball quickly. It doesn't stay in his hands very long. Knocked away. Good read and react by Curtis Allen with Kalati behind, and he scores. And that is your biggest lead of the day. 16 points at the 11-minute mark. And I looked over at Dick Bennett, and he just dropped his head. He said, I got him back in it, and they gave it away again. Now, the rebuilding continues on the Palouse. Curtis Allen, the only senior on the UW roster, leading by example.
Good job. Turnovers.
Yeah, that was really good. I saw that in there somewhere. Yeah,
Possessions, yeah. They hadn't played here in 13.
Yeah.
Shot clock.
Number 25, Isaiah Simmons.
We missed a little basketball while you're away. We missed a little Cougar basketball. First, Isaiah Simmons scored on a putback, and then Washington State with a stop and in transition, a chance at a three-point play. Here's a quick look at the fast break. Barham giving it up late.
Our point forward doing a nice job distributing the rock right there. They don't get very many opportunities at fast break and transition baskets, so they got to take advantage of all of them that they do, and Randy Green's got an excellent chance to make a three-point play here.
Just what you want out of the timeout. A 5-0 run. Into the game for the first time. Vance DeBoer for Washington State. Timeout on the floor. Washington State back within 11. Still 10 minutes to play. 54-43. We don't want to get carried away, but Marcus Moore is playing better in the second half. He's only 1 for 7. He made just one shot in the first half. But now, I don't know, it looks more like the old Marcus Moore.
Yes, and you know, there's the one shot he made in the first half. He took my advice a little bit in the second half, and he's been going to the basket like this right here, but he just hadn't been able to draw the foul. On that, it was a great shot, and he can make shots like that. He can move the ball around while he's in the air. Makes him hard to guard when he goes to the basket, but he's got to get to the free throw line.
You know, Craig, it's a real sign of respect whenever Marcus Moore puts the ball on the floor and goes to the basket. It's funny how quickly 3 Huskies are right on him. I don't think anybody else in the game is getting that kind of attention. So another chance here for Washington State to cut it to single digits, but they got to play defense first. And how about the tip in by Anthony Washington on the backside?
Long arms, big body, just reached over, who was it, Isaiah Simmons, and just tipped
Over
that
everybody.
Ball, over everybody, you're right, and put the ball in.
So again, it goes to 13. And it gets quiet inside Beasley. And everybody wants Barham to shoot it, except for Dick Bennett. So Barham doesn't shoot. There's Curtis Allen again. He just did this. And he does it again.
Most dangerous pass in basketball is across the top where you cannot see the defender come up, and if he steals it, it's going to be an easy 2 points.
Great anticipation there by Allen. He's got 7 points now.
Well, Washington State's become very predictable. I mean, look, 2 passes right there. That's right.
There's Barham with a 3. That's the same one everybody wanted him to shoot 30 seconds ago.
I was just looking at it, I said there's no way he's going to shoot that because I was just talking about the passing, and I'll be darned if he doesn't knock it down.
Barham's got 10. Jimmy Gill bodying up on Washington. He elevates, he comes up short. Schlatter got a rebound, got bumped, and didn't get a whistle. Well, 2-on-2 here for Wazoo. Simmons pulls up before the shot. The foul was on the floor. Curtis Allen doing it himself, a little defense. Twice he's picked the pockets of the Cougs and turned it into 2 points at the other end. So Washington keeps fending off these rally attempts by Wazoo.
You know, and they do it with big plays each time. You know, Nate Robinson stealing the ball away from Marcus Moore earlier and draining a three. And then Curtis Allen having 2 steals on the perimeter right there. And just easy baskets at the other end.
Barham's back at the top. What you've been calling him, a point forward?
Point forward. Point center for him right now. He's the center.
Setting up down low. He had to come out to get that basketball. Kicks it to Simmons. Simmons a one-hander. That ball got deflected before he shot it. He never really had a clean handle on it.
He might have could have brought that back down if it got deflected like that.
And Robinson is back in for Washington. Robinson fires it off the backboard, and it came back to Rollins, then he missed the bunny.
I would have missed that bunny too because that ball came off the backboard hard.
Simmons, big three, too long. The crowd getting on him a little bit. They want the ball in the hands of Marcus Moore, but Marcus Moore is on the bench. That bounces around and finds the cup. And once again, it's 14 points. So you feel like Washington State's going to get into the game, and then they make a mistake, and Washington puts together a little streak. And both of the Bennetts, in fact, the entire Washington State coaching staff was up fast. I don't think they wanted that three.
No, they do not take shots out of the offense that quickly. They want patience, and they actually want to work you over on offense, hoping that you'll get tired of playing defense where they get a better look at the basket or an open shot.
Elo, you made your name, you made your bones playing defense in the league. Curtis Allen twice has anticipated this pass. What's the key defensively on this cross court?
Oh, you know, it's anticipation, like you said. It's knowing the plays, knowing that Washington State makes that pass back and forth. He was able to just play the play, basically, and I did too. But whatever my coach prepared me for and told me what was going to happen, you know, I was able to play the play and get a lot of steals.
Yeah, you mentioned during a timeout, you pointed out to me that Washington State's done a good job taking care of the ball this year, only about 12 turnovers a game. And Washington has done the most of those turnovers, turning them into 13 points today. A big advantage. There's your game right there. There's your 10-point lead.
There's your 10-point lead. 13 possessions. They get nothing out of it. That's crucial. I mean, they don't even get a look at it. And I don't know how many points Washington has off of those turnovers.
Schlatter wants the ball. He pops out. Rollins does not respect him, and so he burns him with a 16-footer.
Chris Schlatter did a great job posting up and then creating space by stepping away. That's a great post move right there for a 6'6" guy.
Schlatter's got 7 to go along with 7 rebounds. Chris Schlatter having a pretty good afternoon. Here comes the defensive chant again. Roy working inside, the fall away. There's the answer again.
You're right. Every time Washington State knocks one down, Washington comes back with a phenomenal play on the other end.
And it's been a bunch of different guys.
It really has.
You know, they haven't had much from Nate Robinson in the second half because they haven't needed it. That's a good look. Schlatter again, and with the left hand, was a little too strong off the glass. There's Conroy. That would go. Look at Robinson go flying in there at about 5'8" and a little, and he was above the rim. The crowd tries to get on him, but they know he's a great athlete.
Called him Gary Coleman, all kinds of names, but you know what? How you stop that? You just go out there and knock down threes like he's done.
When they were calling him Gary Coleman in warm-ups, he was laughing. He thought it was funny.
Oh, he thought it was hilarious. And then, like I said, you just go prove on the floor what you can do. And they hadn't called him Gary Coleman since. There's another one.
Rollins with a rebound to Roy. In the lane, he's been in the lane a long time, and Jensen with the finish.
3 passes, got a dunk shot. I mean, it was Bam on the baseline, fighting for the rebound, into the middle, over to the next side. Result was a dunk.
And the whole Washington bench, led by Lorenzo Romar, explodes with joy. Curtis Allen, by the way, during warm-ups, they were calling him Urkel because he shaved his head. He's a senior. You can't get inside his head. 64-48. 5:44. I don't know if there's enough time for Washington State. Washington is just playing so well right now. They were prepared for this game.
I would say there would be enough time if they were a different type of a team, if they could run and get going. But here's the pass in the middle, one more pass. He didn't need the dribble there. And if all you young kids are listening, you don't need to dribble when you're in the lane right there, because he could have made that pass right away. And he got Mark Jensen a great dunk.
14-point advantage at halftime, and it's swelled now to 16 points. Now, next Saturday, Pac-10 basketball continues, full day of conference action. We told you about this already. 14th ranked Arizona is here in Pullman to face the Cougs. Oregon will host 2nd ranked Stanford, but McCourt is a tough place to play. And then the Huskies host the Sun Devils. All starts at 1 o'clock on Fox Sports Net. McCourt gets bouncing. Love that building. 1929. Randy Green from the corner, gotta have it. Didn't hit anything. Nate Robinson, and he has a 4-on-2. Giving it up to Conroy. Stripped away by Randy Green. It's really the first time that we've seen Nate Robinson get into 5th gear. 5th gear
and was moving out right there. That was a great transition. The only thing that Will Conroy could have done was run wider.
Timeout on the floor, 5:26 to play, and Washington leads 64-48. Washington State, last chance coming up. Butch is on the hunt at Beasley. Now Butch is always out making friends. 64-48, Washington. Maybe Butch can scrounge up some points for the Cougs right now. And we're running out of time, 5:26. Dick Bennett has been using those timeouts, but can he solve this? It's all down low for Washington second half.
Yeah, you talked about Curtis Allen getting some steals and stopping runs, but 4 or 5 possessions for Washington have been inside the paint, and they've just been killing Washington State inside the paint for some points right there. It is 20-14. You get in close there, you're going to make some high percentage shots.
And you notice that right after those 3 sequences where Washington was getting points inside, and then Dick Bennett countered by going with a much bigger lineup. And now he needs guys that can run, and he needs guys that can score, and he's got Marcus Moore back on the floor. There's Nate Robinson. Robinson draws and dishes. Lloyd to Conroy. And that was a good read by Marcus Moore. He scans the floor into the front court. And pulls for 3.
That's the type of game he's used to. That's the type of game he's had to sacrifice this year in order to meet Coach Bennett at the way he likes things done.
Marcus Moore, double figures, he's got 11 points. They're hanging around. Robinson takes real good care of the basketball. Hard to take it away from him, and there's only 4.5 minutes to play. Romar, you can see Romar, top of your screen with his hands on his knees, just like when he used to play defense. And he says, burn some clock. Robinson elevates and then finds a teammate underneath. It was Jones.
And if you're playing with Nate Robinson, you got to be aware all the time. I mean, he got into the lane, looked like he was going to shoot that basketball, and then dished it off to his teammate.
If you're a Coug, that one hurt. Pilati falls down, able to hold on to it, looking for help. Still has the ball. Now it's taken away. Now it's loose again, and Randy Green comes up with it. And Green goes right to the basket. 30-second timeout here for Washington. Lorenzo Romar.
Watch this little assist by Nate Robinson right here. Look how high he gets off the ground, draws the defense, sees his man Thomas Pilati was a step behind on the rotation, didn't get down there, and then made an easy basket.
Craig, I know you haven't seen Nate a lot. I know he's just a sophomore. Can you project, can that guy play in the league?
You know, it's almost the year of the little man with Jameer Nilsson out at St. Joseph, being, you know, they list him at 5'7", and Nate has some great tendencies like Jameer. I mean, he's got scoring abilities. And there's got to be a place for a guy that hustles and plays like that. It's a
and involves teammates and creates takes charges.
Yep.
They're still taking charges in the league?
No.
That's gone now, isn't it?
They don't. Yeah, they even got that little half moon in the thing where they.
Oh yeah, you can't set up under the hoop.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Pilati reaching over the back of Nate Robinson in the backcourt.
Look at this. With 3 minutes, 53 seconds left in the game, or yes, in the game. 5 team fouls for Washington, 3 for Washington State.
66-53 with 3:53 to play. Romar looks confident. Now, Dick Bennett is looking for some size. He can find some down at the end of his bench. And Cody Boyd, 6 feet, 8 inches, 240 pounds, but he's not quite ready to play. He just joined the basketball team earlier this week, his very first practice, just kind of getting used to the guys, getting used to the sets. But because they saw him on the football field, he also played basketball in high school, but they know he's just a great athlete. You remember this, Seahawks Stadium, getting up, big number 80, and blocking that field goal attempt. So he's a good athlete, but it's going to take a little while. Now they list him at 6'6". He's grown since he's been here.
And while we were discussing Cody Boyd, you know, you talked earlier, how do they get back in the game? Well, you got a full court press. You got to try to make the other team turn the ball over or get a steal. And we got Washington State got a steal right there.
And Lorenzo Romar got a timeout right away because he wants to make sure his guys are ready to handle this press. He doesn't want to give away this 11-point lead. He knows it can happen because his guys have done it. They did it their last time out against Oregon State. They trailed by 16 in the second half, took that game to overtime and won. A game that I did earlier against UCLA, they were down 11 with 2 minutes to play and sent that game to overtime. They lost against the Bruins, but they've seen leads evaporate. Pac-10 basketball is brought to you by Pepsi. It's the cola. Well, what do you think? Is that the way to get back in? Create some havoc?
You got to create chaos. That's the only way with below 10 points.
Yeah.
You got to get back in the ball game. Hopefully,
he knows it. Romar knows it. He was a guard. He knows exactly. He just can't help his guys. I give it to Nate Robinson and tell everybody else to meet him at the other end.
Clear out, get out of the way, and let him go down. And that's exactly what they did right there to break the press.
3:40 to play. 11-point game.
And if I'm Lorenzo Romar, I'm telling my team, don't get complacent either. I mean, don't stop looking to score the basketball. Run some time off the shot clock. You're doing a good job of doing that, but do not give up the fact that you're scoring.
Yeah, these two teams have changed roles now. Washington State was supposed to be patient coming in. Now they want to run and score some points. Obviously, Washington wants to burn time. They've changed hats.
And what happened to Thomas Kaladi right there is just one of probably the worst feelings that a defensive player feels. Knowing that you kick the basketball and reset the shot clock, but it's just an instinct. It's just you put your foot out there and you kick it, and it's a tough call.
And I mean, this down to almost 3 minutes.
5-second call.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great play by Washington State, not giving up and just staying in front of the man. You stay closer than 3 feet to the man, and he never beats you on any kind of penetration. You got 5 seconds to do that.
Now this has got to be their last gasp right here with 3 minutes. They get a bucket here and get it single digits. Now it gets interesting. Moore, 15-footer. Can't get it to go. It's just not his day. Moore is 4 for 15 from the field.
Let me tell you, that was a pretty good foul by Jeff Barham right there, because with 2 minutes left in the game, they only have 14 fouls. That means they're 3 away from putting Washington in the bonus. And you know good as I do that that's what you got to do when the game gets down like this.
Simmons on Robinson out near the timeline, trying to stay in front of him. Trey Simmons for Washington goes cross court. Are you going to jump out and get that one?
I saw that still.
Old habits, huh?
Old habits.
I saw the legs twitch.
I don't know why Marcus did not look up and see that pass.
Roy goes baseline. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Jones is alone. In and out. And Trey Simmons over the back of Isaiah Simmons.
Okay, that's the one I do disagree with official on. I think that's a no call. I think both guys were going after the basketball. It went out off of the Washington guy, even though he was the one that got the foul called on him. You just let the ball go out and give the ball to Washington State.
Washington picks up a little tepid pressure in the backcourt. I think making sure that Washington State has touched the ball and thus start the clock. There's more spinning. Got a little body contact. 4 for 17 now. And I don't mean to harp on Marcus Moore because I think he's just a terrific player and he's a great young man. But that's really hurt Washington State today. Look at this, they're down 11 and their leading scorer has just 11.
And right there probably should have looked for his teammate instead of forcing the shot. And I was just going to say, I mean, it's dead quiet in here. I don't know if Washington State can, have the energy to fight back without any energy from the crowd.
Well, it's funny, and you said it before the game. We were talking about Washington State rebuilding this program, and you said, hey, if you win, people will show up. They'll fill this place up. But they're a hard sell now. It's been a long time since Washington State was good in basketball, and they're getting better. And I think Dick Bennett is a great answer right now.
And again, he inherited players that were here and don't know the system. But, there's our shot.
Cody Boyd.
Yeah.
Cody Boyd is checked in, so here's his first action in a basketball game for Washington State, the tight end on the football team. Now, they needed size, so they went to the football team to find it. They list him at 6'6". I think he's bigger than that.
Well, Bennett's teams back in the Midwest they call those Midwest boys. That's the size that they grow them back there. So.
Well, you remember that team he had at Wisconsin, Dick Bennett, that he took to the Final Four in 2000. That team had nobody on it, but they had a bunch of great bodies. Big bodies that set good screens, that got their shooters open. And I mentioned that earlier, that I just don't see Washington State setting good screens. Maybe Cody Boyd can change that. Barham, hesitation, then steps inside, throws it up, and tips it back in. He's going to be a good player. It's like a baby. He's just like a baby out there. Just hasn't gotten basketball down to the tee yet. He will, and once he does, he's going to be darn good to watch. Will Conroy was fouled in the backcourt. So he's going to get some free throws now. And that's what it's going to come down to. Washington shot 67% from the line on the day. And they're just going to try to protect this lead for the last 90-plus seconds. And for Washington, after losing 5 in a row to start conference, they're on the verge of winning 2 in a row. They're starting to feel pretty good about themselves. And because of the weather, and it is snowing here on the Blues, Washington's going to bus back to Seattle. So that's about a 6.5-hour ride. It's a much shorter ride if you're coming off a victory, isn't it?
Oh, but it makes the ride a lot shorter, but I totally believe in that. If you want to develop chemistry and camaraderie amongst your team, that's no better way to do it than put them on a bus for 6 hours. Here's Barham again. It's going to be fun to watch Barham develop. He's just a junior, so he'll get another year. They're going to get him for the high elbows right there, but I like his aggressiveness down low. Aggressiveness, enthusiasm. He hasn't lost any hope at all. He's still attacking the rim. Poke checked from behind, and Nate Robinson ends up in the stands behind the basket. And by the way, none of the Cougar fans tried to break his fall. He's okay. Comes out of there with a grin. Robinson is talking with Conroy. What was Conroy telling him? Give it up. Yeah. Give it up. You're not supposed to take it in there all that way. I'm supposed to get the free throw line. Conroy's 73%. Well, Nate Robinson's a 94% free throw shooter in conference play. Is there anything that he doesn't do well? Nate Robinson in high school was the state MVP in both football and basketball for the state. And he's 5'8"? 5'7" at the most. Basketball is just like football. They give you an extra inch all the time. So that was 6'7", 6'7.5". Nate Robinson, double figures again today. He's been in double figures every Pac-10 game. There's Barham inside, blocking foul. Just the quickness Barham displays is impressive. He went from one side to the other side, just like what do you call that game where you throw the rock and you have the numbers on the sidewalk? Shuffleboard? No, not shuffleboard. I'll think of it in a
Hopscotch?
second. Hopscotch. He hopscotched right through there. That's what I was looking for. I didn't know there was going to be a quiz today. Come prepared next time, Jim. 1:07 to play. Your intelligence will be questioned. Hey, I didn't waste 9 years in college for nothing. 9 years. Well, for Dick Bennett, of course, he knew what was in front of him when he came to Pullman. He knew it wasn't going to be easy. He knew it wasn't going to be a quick fix. It wasn't going to be a one-year deal. You talk to him, and he thinks it's all uphill from here, and there's so much work to do. But I'm telling you, from the outside, you can see that this program's gotten better already. Oh, definitely. And the one thing is that they play hard every game. And, you're going to reap some benefits from playing hard and aggressive every game.
And on the flip side for UW, Lorenzo Romar, he didn't panic when they were 0-5, and everybody in Seattle was calling, what's the matter with this team ever since they lost to Gonzaga, a game everybody was excited about, and they measured themselves against a great team as Robinson gets another 3 on the bounce. He's just 4 for 6 now from 3, and he's got 15 points.
You just have to respect his speed and ability to get to the basket. He puts you off so far that he creates so much space when he gets open looks at three-pointers, and he's deadly from out there.
Anthony Grant back with the 3. But to finish this thought with Romar, he didn't panic with this team. And just going to burn out the last 20 seconds of this one. And this is a good basketball team. Washington could be dangerous when we get to tournament time. And I'm talking about Pac-10 tournament.
I read in one publication, Street and Smith maybe said, they should have postseason aspects in their plans.
That is your buzzer. The final score is Nate Robinson and Randy Green embrace at midcourt. Lorenzo Romar and Dick Bennett do the same. 75-62. And so that breaks a string. 7 times in a row the home team had won in this series. That is gone. Romar and the Dogs improve now to 2-5 in conference, but more importantly, and that's what they'll talk about, 2 consecutive victories. Washington State falls to 2-5. So identical records, but teams going in different directions, at least today. We'll come back and wrap things up from Beasley Coliseum. 75-62, UW over Washington State.